Howdy everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I put together this cute little felt Christmas tree ornament. I had a lot of fun making it. It took a little while to do, but it was super relaxing and I hope that you will enjoy. So if you want to learn how I did this, keep on watching. Alright, so first let me tell you what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using these little styrofoam cones. These are about, let's measure this. This is about 4.5 inches in height and it's 2.5 inches in diameter. That's the size that I'm using. Of course, you can use whatever size you're using. If you want to know where I grabbed mine, I got it from Hobby Lobby. Here is the label for the packaging. It is in the Christmas section. And this is a 6-piece. It says $2.49, but I got it for half off. So I thought that was a really great deal. Now, I'm going to need some felt. So I went ahead and I grabbed these felt squares. You can get it by the yard if you want to buy it, like a quarter yard or whatever you want to buy. You can get it in any color you want, or if you want to use some other fabric, go right ahead and do that. Okay, I'm also going to be using some twine. You can use ribbon, thread, whatever you want, embroidery floss to use to make the hanger. And then if you want to embellish a little hanger with a bead, I've got some little beads here, whatever you want to put on there. And anything else that you want to use to decorate your tree, go ahead and grab that. All right, I'm going to be using hot glue. I also have some sequence pins because this is an alternative to using the hot glue. And these are little tiny 5/8 inch size, and they're called sequence and bead pins. So if you want to use something like that, of course you can use a regular pin, but when you get up to the top here, the regular pin is too long. So if you want to try using these instead, okay? And I'll show you how to use that or the glue. And you will also need something to measure 1 inch. So I've got a little ruler here, and of course some scissors to cut our felt. And that's basically it. So let's get to crafting. I'm going to go ahead and start with one of my felt squares here, and I'm going to push my little tree here to the corner. And then I'm just going to use a little marker, a Sharpie here. And I'm just going to kind of just mark around the diameter so I know how big I need that piece to be that I'm going to put at the bottom. Alright, so now I want to put this little felt under here, so let's go ahead and put some glue and get it all the way to the edges. And as you can see, I haven't cut out the circle, completely because I'm going to end up cutting it once I have it glued on here. And I'm going to use the Sharpie side down so I don't see the lines out on the outside. And I want to glue this down and get it as close to the edge as I can. And just add a little bit extra glue. It goes like it's rounded off a little bit on the bottom, so I want to push that around like that. Make sure I get a nice coverage. Now I've already done one ornament, and I added this little piece after the fact, so I didn't get a really nice coverage. So this is what I learned to do, is to do this before I do anything else. So we're going to make sure we cover that. Of course, you want to make sure your glue dries really well before you start cutting around. Otherwise, you get glue all over your scissors. Alright, so now I've got that bottom covered up really nicely. Now we want to cover this bottom part. So I'm going to take my felt. Alright, so I'm going to take my little 1 inch, this is 1 inch wide more or less, and I'm just going to use that to mark some lines going across my felt. And I'm going to mark lines all the way up, okay? And you want to cut out that first little strip. Okay, so now we're going to take our styrofoam cone here, add some glue. Oh, by the way, before we get started, I just remembered something that I did. You want to make some cuts. So you want to do them like every inch or so, or half an inch, whatever. Just make some little cuts down. And that's only because the cone gets smaller, as it goes up. So we're going to do that. Okay, so we'll go back to this now, add some glue. And let's get that edge on there. Make sure it's covering close to that other edge here. All right, and we're just adding glue at the bottom edge for now, okay? And I like to just push it down like that with my hot glue gun just so it's not all lumpy. Go all the way around till we get to the other end. Okay, so we've gotten to the other end, and we can go ahead and snip off that little piece and see how everything's, if I was to just glue it on like that, it would kind of get all folded up. So instead of doing that, I did the little slits. So then now I can go ahead and glue each of these little pieces down. And I can take the next one and it'll overlap a little bit on the previous. So we'll just keep doing that till we get all the ends glued down. All right, we got the last piece here. Okay, so we got all this covered. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set this aside. I want to make sure it's all glued down, nice and flat. All right, so I've done all my lines across the 1 inch measurement, and now I'm going down and measuring 1 inch because I'm going to want a little square that's a 1 by 1 and more or less 1 by 1 inches, okay? All right, so now I want to cut some strips. First, I'm just going to do about 3 at a time. I'm not going to cut too many because I don't want little squares flying all over the place, so I'll do a little bit at a time. Okay, so for example, let me go ahead and just do 2 for now. And I'm just going to cut out those little squares. And they're not going to be perfect. You might go a little crooked, and that's okay. All right, so I've got a few little squares here just to get me started, and we're going to add a little bit of glue on one of the corners, and we're going to pinch that. We're going to want that little shape, okay? And you're going to be making a lot of these, so get relaxed and listen to some nice Christmas music. Watch a little show if you want, or just listen to it actually. Listen to some of my videos. All right, so I'm going to get myself going and make quite a few of these, and then I'll be back. All right, so now I've got a few of them done. I've still got more to do, but I'm going to do a few at a time. And now I'm going to grab each one. This is the end, or the little corner that got glued. So I want to get that on this side. And then I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm going to round off this little pointed bit of that folded half. This little corner. So I don't want those little pointed corners. I want them rounded off. So then I have something like that. Okay? I'll do one more. Here's the glue end. Pinch it and round off that. Now on some of these, when I pinch them, the glue squeezes out a little bit, so I'm just going to clean it off by trimming that, and a little bit on the tip there, just like that. So now I've got these two so far, and I've got quite a few more to go, so I'll get those ready and then we'll go to the next step. All right, so now I'm going to start attaching my leaves that I've put together, or little branches, if you will, onto our styrofoam shape here. I'll start by showing you how you can use the little sequence pins, and then how you can use your glue gun, and then you can decide what you want to do. So you take one of your little pins, and of course I said use these little short ones, and we're going to insert them into our leaf right in there. Push it in as far as you can. There you go. So it comes out the other side like that, and then you can just grab it and you can feel the little head right there of the pin. And then you're going to want to insert this into your styrofoam. Now you want to make sure that the bottom, the tip of the leaf here, is not any longer than the bottom of this. You want it to be either at level with it or a little bit higher. And I think I'm just going to go right on the edge of that felt line and just push it in like so, and see it's not touching, the little tip here is not touching, my hand, because it's not, longer than this. You want to make sure that it's not longer than that. Okay, so we just keep adding these. Now you're not going to butt them, these two top parts, you're not going to butt them right next to each other. You're going to go a little bit, maybe like a 1/4 inch. And just align the bottoms. Push that in. And you just want the leaves to curl up against each other like that, okay? And this is why we put this here, because this bottom part, we don't want to see the styrofoam. Once we get up here, we're going to be covering this so that, and placing the leaves so that you don't see the styrofoam. But if you feel more comfortable to cover it all up or use some paint it, do that. All right, so we can continue with the pins. And this is neat because if you didn't pin it where you want it, you could always move it. Like this one can go a little bit lower. Like so. Okay, so again, if you don't want to use the pins, I didn't buy that, I don't want to spend any more money, I'll just use my hot glue gun. I've got that ready and going. I've got glue sticks. We're going to use that instead. Now, I will mention using the little pins is a little neater. I did my first little tree with my hot glue gun, and it was a little messy, but I learned a little bit from the experience, and that's just to add a little bit of glue on the tippy top part. You don't have to worry about the rest of it. And then what I just did was align like that to make sure the bottoms are aligned, and then just glue it down like so. You know, I'm going to leave these little pins in there, but I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue in there. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue, and I'm going to go ahead and do it with my hot glue gun. Okay, so I've done the first row, and just so you know, I ended up putting 16 of them on this first row. Now, it may vary for you because maybe you put them a little bit further apart, maybe you put them tighter, closer together. But if you're going to do that tighter, then you're going to end up using even more, and of course, you're going to need more felt for that. So just keep that in mind. Now also the amount that I'm putting on is because of the smaller size cone that I'm using. So if you use a bigger cone, of course you're going to need more. All right, let's go ahead and start our next row. I'm doing the same thing. This time I'm going to be lining them up between two of these other ones on the bottom. And I just want to put this so that the bottom of this leaf covers, see the little spaces in between right here? You can see that, so I just want to make sure I cover that. So you might have to push it up a little bit higher. I've already glued that one down. It's okay, it's a good spot there for it. Okay, so then I'll just do the next one and so forth. Okay, once I put the first one, just try to keep it the same height here aligned. Your leaves may vary a little bit in size because maybe when you're trimming, you trim a little too much on one of them. So you just want to make sure that they're aligned as best as you can do it. Okay, I'm going to keep going to cover the rest. Okay, so I'm doing the last one on this row. And again, I put 16, but because the cone is getting smaller, these are butting up against each other real nice and tight. And then also, you don't see as much of the spacing between them. You don't see as much of the styrofoam, I should say, between them. Okay, so the third row, we're going to end up putting less, and we don't have to worry about putting it right between, you know, two on the bottom. Just place them down just to make sure that, you know, you're covering, and just go all the way around. Now also, as you go up higher, your leaves can get a little bit smaller. So if you want to trim these down a little bit, you can go ahead and do that. Just trim them a little bit more. And then just add them on. Alright, so this third row I ended up using just 9. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start a fourth row here. And I have trimmed some of these a little bit smaller, so I'll continue trimming. Alright, so I also want to mention that when I did the the first little tree, I ended up with 6 rows. And this one, it seems like I'm going to end up with just 5. So, but I did on the 3rd row on this one, I did space them out further. I just wanted to make sure that you could see the white styrofoam through instead of putting them between, you know, this other row, lining them up like that. So this one does have less, so I've still got a little bit of, quite a bit of pieces of felt left over. And I also noticed something too, is that when I started the other one, they were closer to the bottom, these ends, and these are a little bit lifted. So maybe that's also giving me, you know, less rows to do. So I'm not using up as much felt. So, okay, but let me continue doing this 4th row here. I don't know if I told you how many I put in on the 3rd row. So let me count that. Let me start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 on this row. I think I counted 9 at first, but then I decided to add an extra one in there before I started doing this one because I could see a little spot of the white styrofoam. So I did sneak one in there. So there's 10 on that row. And so far right now I've got 4 and I'm like halfway covered here. So I'll continue adding these. And like I said, you could trim them, make them a little bit smaller. I didn't trim this one. I just realized that. All right, I'll just keep going. All right, so there is the 4th row done. So now I want to put something on the top here because I want to cover this little tip. Oops, this one fell off. Let's glue that back in there. My goodness. There we go. So we got 9 of these on this 4th row. All right, so I'm going to get a little square. Let me see. It's about 2 by 2 more or less, but I'm going to do some trimming, so I need to know where this is going to fit. Actually, I'm going to put some glue. This is sort of what I did with the first one, but I did it way before I started putting all these little, I just didn't know if I was going to end up finishing it the same way. Okay, so now that I've got it on there, but I'm going to need it to fold downward, right? So let's go ahead and from the corners go in. I should have cut it before I put it on here, and I think that's what I did the first time is I cut in from the corners into there. Now if I do this, it's going to overlap on top of these, and I don't want that to happen, so I am also going to round this off, trim that off. You're learning as I'm learning. See, because the first time that I did it, I put this on here first, so then when I put these, they kind of ended up on top. And now this is ending up on top. So do this first before you put that last row or before you even get started. Okay, let me cut a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to glue this one down first, like that. Wrap it around, glue it down. So smooth it down as best as you can. And then you'll do the next one, and then the next one, and so forth until you're done all 4 bits. Okay, so now we just have a little bit of white that shows through, but we're going to add more of these. But I want to make them a little bit smaller, so I'm going to trim this, and I have to make obviously some more because this is the last one that I've got. So this is smaller, so I'm going to just align it with the edge here. And just make sure that that is long enough to cover any of the white, and it is. So I need to make more of these. So I'm just going to count the spaces that I have. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9. So let's make 9 more of these. I think I'll just trim a little bit more. A little bit off the glued tip there, so that when I put it down, it looks a little bit prettier. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to make 8 more. That'll make 9. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and glue on that last row of leaves. All right, we're finishing off here. One last one. this is what the top looks like. This looks a lot better, actually, than the other little tree. And it looks kind of weird because it's not pointed at the top, but we're going to put that little bead and a little string or ribbon, whatever you want to use to make your loop. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so I just want to measure this. I can give you more or less the size of this. This is about approximately 1/2 inch in diameter. A wood bead that has holes on both ends here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use this one because this little hole on this one doesn't look very big on that end. Let me grab another bead. There's a little string of beads that I happen to have from some little craft thing that I took this off of, and then I saved them to use. So here I am using them. All right, so I'm going to take some twine, and I'm going to need to put it through twice through there. So in order to be able to handle that, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end of the twine here, just so it doesn't come unraveled. I make a nice pointy bit there. All right, so I'm going to push it through once, like that, and then just pull your twine through the little hole, and then you're going to feed this back through. And a way to help you push that is to also pull this so that it'll pull the other one out. So see? So you want to make sure you get enough length so we have a nice loop, and then we're going to do a knot under here. We're just going to I'm just going to put some glue in there so that doesn't slide out anymore. So let me go ahead and bring it down a little bit. Make this loop a little bit smaller. It's a little too big. I think that'll be good enough where I can hang it from a little branch. If you want your loop to be bigger, of course, do that. Just make it whatever size you want it. If you want to hang this from like on your car in the rear view mirror, maybe make it a little bit longer so it'll go around it. All right. I think that'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right there. And I'm going to put glue in there and in there. I think also on the top, right here. All right. Okay, so now that that's glued in there, we're going to let that dry, all right? And now that it's all dry, I'm going to trim this off like that. And then I can add glue here. And that'll go at the top here. And you want to hold it because it could roll off. It can come off. So just hold it. And there we are. My ornament is complete. This is what it's looking like. Now I kept mentioning that I did a first one. So let me show you that. Here is the first one that I did. This has more rows, so of course I used more of those little leaves, and it looks just as cute as the other one. Now I went ahead and I embellished this one with some beads. So you can see some little beads there in the middle of every one of these leaves, and I used tacky glue to add them on. And I had a little crown around here because I had to string these together with a needle and thread. And I added that there because it was looking pretty ugly. The little glue was smearing, was getting all over the place. So I decided to cover that up. So that's why that's there. But I think it looks really nice like that. What do you think? Well, I think they're super cute. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up. And I hope that YouTube will give me a big old thumbs up. And leave a kind comment down below and let me know what you think of my project for today. Alright, so if you're enjoying the content of my video and you would like to see more videos like this, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe by hitting the subscribe button below and then choose all the notifications so that you get notified as soon as I upload a video. I want to thank everyone for watching and supporting my channel, and as always, enjoy.